Hello and welcome to the Final Bell, the official Geelong Cats podcast. We are brought to you and presented by GMHBA, the official health insurance partner of the Geelong Cats. It's great to be with you again for another week. It's great to be with Meg McDonald. Hello, Meg.
Hey, Lee. How you doing?
I'm good. We are going to have to tough our way through a heartbreaking loss.
Yep.
We will talk about all of that. The good news is that Jeremy Cameron is going to join us as a guest soon.
He'll keep it light, I reckon.
Yes,
Eternal optimist. He'll be fine.
I wouldn't mind. I know listeners, you'll definitely want a bit of game chat, but I'd love to just get a bit of
a bit of darty chat.
Yeah, just a bit of that, how he prepares and obviously the balance that he has in his life. We will talk about these magnificent jumpers that are in front of us.
Stunning, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit later on. But we'll dive straight in. Well, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Do we have a Meg's memo?
No, we're not.
Week?
Well, look.
Or were you just in
we probably
tears?
would have had Blitz have kicked that goal because I did a few preparatory sort of fourth quarter specialist. Let's go. They're on there, but I was gutted. So
yeah. So
no, I shouldn't lie. Sorry, and talk over you already. But it's funny. At the same, you always hate losing, and especially when you could win. But I find GWS hard to hate. You know. Yeah,
it's funny you say that because I have done a lot of GWS games in the last 3 or 4 years, and in particular finals and last year's finals. I did do that. I go into their rooms as part of my role for Channel 7 to do interviews, and I was in one of the we all know, I'm a massive Geelong's fan. I had all the family in the stands.
Breaking news.
I was like, this is torture. This is painful. I do not want to be going in there. And then you walk in there, and I've got to know a few of the parents, and they are the most lovely people, and they were so overjoyed. I'm like, I'm almost happy for you.
Kick another goal, Jesse.
But I'm not. But like Callum Ward's dad is just
I can only imagine.
Beautiful guy, and you know, last year's final series, they're heartbreaking 2 losses. He'd come up and have a chat, and nice people.
Yeah.
Just stop doing it in Geelong, okay?
I know.
And we'll keep getting along real well.
I know. They've got my favourite defender in the it's hard. This isn't the GWS.
No,
podcast,
it's not.
Though,
no,
so.
let's get into it. As everybody knows, the Cats go down by 4 points. It was a ripping game of football as far as attack and ball use and highly skilled. They were highly skilled. We fought back. We had moments where we were in control and then we weren't. Jesse Hogan just was monstrous the entire game, kicked 7 goals, but we had our chances.
Yeah. Do you reckon you can lick your wounds with the satisfaction of being like, it was a good game as a player?
No.
Even in
I'm
the
talking
overall...
about as a spectator here and trying to be pseudo-professional.
Yeah, because I've heard the commentary that says, our record in the past month or whatever, but we've been part of the best games of the season so far. And you're like, that probably inspires you to think our best is good enough, but it's not. It's hardly going to make that loss any easier.
No, and I'm
in the moment at least.
I might. I don't know if I will, but I might ask Jeremy Cameron when he comes on about that. Well, it was a good game of footy, but question to him. But no, as a player, I couldn't give a stuff what the game looks like, what you think it is. I just want to win. And it's only a good game if you win. So remember that classic 2009 game, Cats vs Saints, round 14, game of the whatever. We were both 13-0. Saints win by a goal. Everybody talks about it as the best home and away game ever. I'm like, rubbish. It's a horrible game because we lost. There's nothing in it. And I think what ends up more painful for the players, and you know this as well, is when you've had chances to win. And I am not talking just about Mark Blitzarves because I'm certainly not dumping it all on his shoulders. But Tice, one of the most skillful players going around, just misses a couple of set shots. Shawnee Manor, just misses those. The Paddy kick inside, doing the right thing, but just miss it. So you just as a player go, we didn't just miss those, we win that game, and then we happily talk about it being a brilliant game of footy.
I know, it's the same, but also as a defender, I find we had a similar game last year where it was lauded as one of the great games of AFLW, but it was a shootout, and this was a high scoring game, and as a defender you're like, that's nice, they kicked X amount of goals on me. I don't care about the fact that it went down the other end. So but let's the start of the game. What did you think when players walked out to positions? You know, we've become so accustomed to embracing the changes. I think this might be genius, but we did go down early. We probably lost ground position.
Yeah, and that was I think we needed to expect as a group that GWS were going to come out breathing fire. They were going to respond to what's been a poor few weeks of play. Yeah. And they love this ground. They feel good down here. So there is a psychology in that. Yeah. We needed to be ready for getting jumped. And we probably weren't a little bit, and centre clearances went their way heavily early. I think it was 7-1 at one stage. Oh, wow. And that just puts a slightly undermanned, slightly newly shuffled defence under pressure with no Stewart, no Henry, no Lawson Humphreys. And I think that's what set us on the back foot. Yeah,
particularly because even when you can get the ball into a contest, if you're playing against whether there's pressure on the footy or not, when the ball's coming in with enough height that you feel like you might be able to impact as a defender, but you're playing against the best contested mark player in the game. It's just if it's in there enough times, you're probably gonna succumb, particularly with that quality.
And you know what? When you talk about it in there enough times, it was in there too with a player like, and he stood out clearly. And boy, is he going to take this comp by storm. Finn Callahan, ability to take the ball, run 5, 8, 10 metres, and then kick with his leg, which is so penetrating. It meant the kicks were getting in there. A Callahan kick was getting in there quicker and deeper than probably what our defence was set up for. And it was just so Jesse Hogan, a great contested mark anyway, but he was able to edge his opponent under the ball a little bit, take a nice mark. What almost in the end looked like an easy mark because of the penetration of the kick, because of the openness of the mid and the way the mids were getting beaten early on in the game.
Yeah, and even as the game went on, I know GWS conceded a lot of inside 50s and we were probably not as efficient as we should have been going inside. But the tsunami that they all talk about, you're right, when they can run off half back and your forwards can just hold structure because the ball is going to come in. And I think Scotty might have mentioned in the presser afterwards, but, you know, our side – you can't just sit back and wait for that to happen. You have to go up and take the game to them, but we certainly didn't quite make those decisions correct or have the impact we needed to by getting up the ground at certain stages.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think late in the first, we evened up the clearances. I think it was 4-3 late our way, so by no means a domination, but it evened it back up and the game started turning to us a little bit. Second quarter, things got rolling a bit, and Jeremy Cameron was superb through that second quarter. We can talk to him about that when he comes on for a chat. But others got rolling. So Bailey Smith gets rolling, Max Holmes gets rolling.
Well, those two, you speak about Callahan, that's what drive gives you, right? Like taking 70 to 80 metres of ground position is a massive commodity in the game. Anyway, I cut you off. Those two are going well.
No, and I was going to add, and then it flowed. Ollie Dempsey started having an influence on the game, and his work rate up and down that wing, and we saw he kicked 2 goals again, and just able to impact really deep forward, but also just as importantly, getting way back deep in defence to help out.
Yeah, his work rate is extraordinary, as is his, you know, he kicks goals from the goal square a lot. What's he kicked, 15 for the year? And, you know, 2/3 of them would be from the goal square, from that work rate. Also from playing little manoeuvres with the high forwards, and that's you know, a hallmark of our footy at the moment is being able to be adaptable. But what I love is it's no secret now. He's not taking anyone by surprise when he's doing that, and yet he's still able to do
producing.
That's I think the mark of a player that's really in their prime and knows their ability and is confident that they're going to be able to execute. Even, you know, because there's work rate to get out, but you liked his contest work is great as well.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, we you think of Ollie Dempsey, you think of that run and dare on the wing. You think also from his goals from the goal square you're talking about is the opposition players got back there early. Ollie gets a run and jump. He takes a bit of a hanger or a bit of a jump on him. Brilliant. But I love the fact he was one-on-one, genuine body-to-body contest with Harry Himmelberg, who's a big, strong guy. And he outpointed him and took the mark and kicked the goal. So that's a really great sign as well. We got rolling with those types of players. players, as you said, who can actually break a line and can run and then use it well, and the forwards started getting a better look at the ball. I want to give him a pump up because he's going to be hating himself and shattered with his final kick of the game that hit the post. But I thought Mark Litzarves was very good all game. In the ruck, everywhere he was needed, whatever role, he was doing it as he's always done.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we've given him enough credit across the course of the first couple of months of the season, and it's true again on the weekend. And you just thought, I mean, there's no, Blitz, it was more, mate, you deserve to kick that. I would have loved you to have that moment and how good that would have been.
It was a monster mark.
Oh,
Great
my gosh.
grab.
Talk about wanting the footy. He was like, I'll grab it.
Yeah. He did try the leave it behind for Brad.
Controversial.
The umpire was onto him.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, we would have loved him in defence, obviously. Yeah. I mean, you like him everywhere, and we're the fact that he's playing in the ruck is, I'll say it again, it's outrageous. What can he do? And
as we always say in the podcast, do check out the GMHBA health report, because that is much more accurate than our guesses about health. But clearly, an eye on Jack Henry is always, yes, fingers crossed, very much. Tom Stewart as well. Lawson, does he come out of the protocols? Thursday we'll know more. Producer Jakey, thank you very much. So, obviously,
we'll get to this, but hopefully, he's playing.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll talk about those jumpers in a little bit later on after Jez, because Jez is about to join us.
Speaking of a back half small though, I love Busey on the weekend.
Oh, didn't he play well?
He played so well. He just, in a game where I felt like I was like, I want a bigger body. I want some big bodies in there. But his drive and his power is AFL level drive and power. He's such a supreme athlete in that way. And I thought as the game went on, he even became more influential in taking us forward and giving us a red hot crack at a win. Yeah, and at different times he was one of a couple who rolled through Toby Green a little bit. I mean, Mark O'Connor predominantly. I think Osh did it for a bit. And it was almost like, okay, as good as Toby Green is, and still played a role and was more in the centre bounces than he's ever been for the whole season. It was like, we're not going to let him beat us again like he's done so many times here when we've played the Giants. Unfortunately, it was somebody else who then stood up massively. But, you're right. I love Busey's game, and I think he showed straight away, I belong at AFL level. I just get my body right, and different injuries that he's had put me back in there. I can play at AFL level straight away. I do want to move on because we are about to talk with Jeremy Cameron, who's going to join us. Just quickly, the VFL unfortunately going down to the GWS Giants in the curtain raiser. I was able to watch a bit of that, which was good to see them play. Again, doesn't matter because we lost. A high quality game of footy. It was flying around, a lot of talent in the Giants camp. Some really good signs from the Cats players, but we ended up going down by 32 points. I think that one is. What's my maths like? And unfortunately, the VFLW also going down. So not a good weekend of footy for the Cats, losing to Sandringham. If you want some good news around the VFL and the VFLW, there is a double header this Saturday, 17th of May at ETU Stadium, which is Port Melbourne's ground, the traditional home of Port Melbourne. Great ground for watching footy. Ground. Picket fence. Yes, so the VFLW kick off at 4:05 p.m. against Port Melbourne, and then at 7:10 p.m. the VFL play Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne coached by my old mate Brendan McCartney. Great assistant coach here at the Cats through some of our fun years. So if you want to watch a double header of live footy at Port Melbourne, head on up there and check it out. But if you do want to watch the game live this Saturday, the AFL one we were talking about, make sure you grab your Digital Plus membership to save on KO and watch the Cats take on Port. Head to membership.geelongcats.com.au. Tickets, you've lost your page. I've lost my page. Guys, I haven't committed it to memory. We're working beautifully together here. Tickets are also selling fast for our Sir Doug Nicholls Round clash against the Bulldogs at home. That's a Thursday night game, of course. Secure your tickets now to make sure you get a seat. Let's take a break. Hang on, sorry. Yes, we'll take a break. I was just gonna say that the reason I got distracted was because our live read in recent weeks has been for the hoops raffle, right?
Ah, yes.
And last week I got to call the winner, Leslie. And it was the highlight of my week. Really? I got to say you've won a Fort Everest. And she was just stoked. She was the best. She was a passion. And just so happened, in this massive cup of, I pulled out a passionate AFLW fan. And she was just awesome. And so shout out to Leslie. I hope to see you when you get your car. And we didn't discuss whether you were a listener of the pod, but
oh, well done.
Shout out if
Leslie.
you are.
That is awesome.
Sorry, that was why I was not ready for your cue.
No, that's okay. That's it. You'd committed the hoops raffle to memory.
Oh, yeah.
But it is done and dusted, and Leslie's the winner.
Go, Leslie.
Fantastic. Let's take a break. Jeremy Cameron up next. Winning a three-peat isn't easy, but at GMHBA Health Insurance, that's exactly what we've done. By winning the 2024 CanStar Outstanding Value Hospital Cover in Victoria 3 years running.
GMHBA have been caring for the Geelong community since 1934 and are proud supporters of the mighty Geelong Cats. Join at gmhba.com.au.
Welcome back to the Final Bell, proudly brought to you by GMHBA. And as promised, we have a special guest, Meg. Jeremy Cameron is joining us. Hello, Jez.
How are we?
We're good. We're good. We let's get all the awkward questions out of the way. We do have to talk about Sunday. Another thriller. It was now, you probably don't care about this, but from a spectator's perspective, it was a brilliant game of football until we get to the result. But did you sense it out there? The ball was flying around.
Yeah, it was, and it was spoken about at times that both teams are going very quick, and when you play football like that, it can gas you at times. But high scoring sort of game. It would have been, and I have heard that from a lot of people that it was really good to watch, but coming out on the wrong side of the result hurts a little bit, but especially against the old mob for me. But they've been all right down here, haven't they? They've I think the last 5, which is interesting in itself, but another close game.
I should have done my research, but usually we just leave that up to producer Jake. Were you part of any of those run of 5 for the other mob?
I'm not sure. I actually couldn't tell you. Well, this is my 5th year here, and I know I missed the first time we played them. I had a hamstring injury, so I was out that week. I think it was the game, I could be wrong here as well, that Collar kicked his first goal in. That seems about the right time. But, it's always been fairly close. I remember last year, I think Toby kicked that goal. It was a sensational goal, and it got him across the line. So, they're a quality team. I think we can't really look past that. They're a good team. They're always around the finals race and hard to beat.
All right, take us back to the start of the game. Was it your first CB for the year, this one?
It was, I think, first one for the year, yeah. I've sort of found myself in there at times more in the 2022 season.
Yeah. That worked out.
That worked out all right. So,
how far in advance do you know? And then you sort of, does that come up on Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it sort of was a bit earlier in the week. It was just a discussion point with, a few players, coaches, that sort of thing, change things up. But we have a lot of players that can play in different positions that we really like to, utilise. And, it was just another change-up, gives us a different look. Did it go well? Probably not. They got their hands on the footy early in the game, and they were probably, off to a better start than us. But it's nice to change things up. And as a key forward, when you're around the footy a bit, you're sort of injected straight into the game. That gives you a different look as well.
Am I right in saying, the second quarter seemed to be when you had a massive influence on the game. You were up around the wing, or were you specifically on the wing, or were you forward drifting up? What were you playing there? I
was on the wing there, so I was starting on the wing, and between you don't want to give away too many secrets, but I change it up with Ollie Dempsey a bit, and there's a lot of guys that can roll through the wing, and I think every club has a lot of guys that can play on the wing, so it just gives you a different look. It might be a different matchup. Sometimes the key back might come up with you. Other times they might just leave it up to their winger. If a lot of teams do have guys that play on the wing for a long period of time as well. So it's just something different, and it was nice to impact the game in that quarter.
Yeah, I feel like there's the immediate impact whether you win that or you don't, but then there's a flow-on for the rest of the game. Who's to say you're up around the ball, you're having an awesome second quarter, et cetera, et cetera. I reckon spectators, when I'm up in the stands, want to know. We love how flexible the team is, as you referenced, and Scotty's known for being hard to coach against. How much of that is premeditated? You know, you're doing, don't give away too many secrets, but high forward wings, like they're rolling through. At any given moment, are you on the field, you know exactly what's going on and it's very structured, or is it a bit free flowing and fluid?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, to be honest. So, yeah, a little bit of it can be on the player at the right time. So the stuff at the start of quarters and early in games, that's probably spoken about a bit, but and then there might be changes that come off the back of that throughout quarters and throughout games. But there's a fair bit of leeway. Not a fair bit, I shouldn't say that, but if you can feel something and sense it, you might be feeling that well before the coaches see it up there. I'm not too sure, but we change things around, and quite often it's a discussion point with other players on the field, like Paddy Dangerfield's there, Mitch Duncan's there. They've seen a lot of football. Blitz is in the middle. They've seen a heap of football. Like, basically, they're like players that are coaches out there. So just discussion points with those guys, and things can change pretty quickly.
Yeah. We love getting players on to the podcast to obviously talk about the game that's just been played, but I also love to peek behind the curtain a little bit. Famously, you've... Farmer Jez. We've seen some wonderful social media videos at different times. There was there's the epic one of I think the cow ending up with the premiership medal and everything like that. But tell us clearly, I mean, growing up, farming and small country community, you love getting outdoors and just being almost away from footy so that you can come here and switch on to footy. Is that the you're finding that balance just amazing?
Yeah, absolutely. It is amazing to have that balance, and I sort of say it all the time, but it's unique down here. You're able to have that, and when I say unique, you could probably live on a farm if you wanted to in Sydney, but you'd have to be 2.5 hours away, not 20 minutes. So that's sort of where it is unique. But it gives me that flexibility and balance around sort of just life in general, and it keeps you fresh when you're at the footy club. For me, a lot of guys love footy, and I love footy. Don't get me wrong, I love playing, love training, and there's other things that I don't so much love about it. And I like sort of living the quiet lifestyle, tucked away, doing our own thing, and the farm sort of gives me that balance, which I love. So, and then when I come into the training, I know that for that 4, 5 hours, 6 hours that I'm in here, I'm going to give it a red hot crack to become a better player, become a better teammate, and hopefully we're a better team because of that. And I can play longer. It's strange to think about, but I honestly believe, like, if I didn't necessarily make the choice to come down here, sorry, I could be sort of nearing the end a lot quicker than what people think. And being 32, I still feel 25 because I've got that off-field balance right.
I can strongly relate to that. That's what I felt as a player. And my thing was being down the coast and surfing, which I know a few other guys would be similar, and that's the wonderful choice players can have in this region. I wanted to switch off completely from football. I loved footy, but at times I just wanted to be as far away from it as I possibly could, so that when I could come back inside these doors, I could be as intense and as focused and as ready to go as I needed to be. So I can really relate strongly to that. I do need to ask, though, with your farming experience and the fact that you do it, have you passed some of that on to Bailey Smith and his choice to be on a bit of land? No doubt he'd be getting his fingernails underneath the fingers dirty and getting in there having a crack.
I'm not sure what he gets up to, but I do know that it's it's great for him to be tucked away, and he's got a bit of quiet time as well, because we know how the fierce the spotlight is on him at any given time when he's in around the football club and whatnot, which he loves too. But I'm sure he likes the quiet time as well. So I'm not sure how much farming's going on there, but it's great for him and good on him, because he's playing brilliant football.
When you speak about that balance, do you find that it's easy? I mean, we've had a lot of success in your time at the club, and we're certainly have had a, satisfactory, if not really good start to the season. But is that balance and time away easier when things are going well? Do you have to fight the instinct to sort of problem solve and be here more when you're in challenging times?
No, I don't think so. One thing that the coaches have been, really, really good at, and especially in my time, seeing it firsthand, is sort of you shouldn't know if you've won or lost when you come in on a Monday. So, that's the attitude that everyone sort of, approaches it with, and I think that's really important as well. And in saying that, in my time, the 5 years that I've been here, we haven't gone on huge streaks of losing. So I also haven't seen that side of it as well. But it sort of works both ways. It's just, it's a nice feeling when we gave it a red hot crack on the weekend. The result didn't go our way. Yeah, we could have kicked a few late goals, but everyone had chances right throughout the game. What can we look at to get better on a Monday, but attack it with the right attitude, and then you take that into training and the flow-on effect, and then hopefully, it's only a 6-day break this week, you're away and you get to go over there in a hostile environment and have another crack. So I think that's what it's all about. They do it well here.
They do it well, and no doubt that working, as you being one of the leaders, working with the coaches too, because a coach's natural instinct is, we've got to fix this up, we've got to fix this, we've got and more, and just needing them to pull back a little bit. It's important. You speak of the game at hand and taking on Port Adelaide this week, which throws up a bunch of challenges at the Adelaide Oval. You will be wearing this Guernsey, isn't it, Meg?
That's the one,
that's
yes.
The one, the away strip, the clash strip. Which will be really exciting. But Port Adelaide...
I'd love to see him in this one specifically.
The long sleeve.
Long sleever.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd be that cold over there.
No, is that one purely for Brad Close?
Might be just Brad Close's, that one.
Might be a 3/4 length on you when you're out.
First ever do it.
We will talk about these jumpers shortly and around the design of them. Port Adelaide, you look at the team and their makeup, they've still got some incredible talent running around in that team.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, seeing a bit of it on the, it was a big game over there. We know with the showdown, but they've got some really intense mids that if they get enough of the ball, they're so damaging, and they're all sort of different in their own way. So it's always a tough one coming up against Port Adelaide, and it's going to take our best for sure over there in. I mentioned it just before, it's such a hostile environment, but a ground that I love playing at, and I think the fans love, and all the other players love as well, right across the competition. So looking forward to that one, can't wait for it. Yeah,
one man who plays well there and has a lot of experience there is the skipper, and I am just keen before you go to get your perspective on what it's like having him spending more time forward, if not permanently forward in certain games. How have you seen that impact on the team and also repercussions for the other forwards?
Yeah, it's it's been fantastic. He's come down. He spends a lot of time with us now, and it's nice to have him in forward line meetings as well to give his outlook on the game and what he thinks. But the way I was saying this the other day to someone that just he looks out of the contest, and then because of his raw power, he just gets there, brings the ball to ground, and that in itself, he's not marking it, but it brings others into the game. And what might be a intercept mark for Alir this week, and then that gets their game going. It sort of keeps us in the game, and Tyson might mop it up and kick a goal. So it's a huge difference. But it's not just that. It's his pressure. When the ball's on the ground as well. We've seen him chase down a lot of players already early in the season, and he's been able to hit the scoreboard as well. So a lot of guys feed off that. It's nice to have experience down there as well, and it sort of gives us the flexibility to change it up. If I do have to sneak up to a wing or I play a bit higher one week, it's nice to know Pat's back there, and he can provide the contest with some work, with Shannon and the other guys that are down there. So it gives us a different look. It's exciting, and he's still got plenty of power in those legs.
He certainly does. That power is definitely there. Can't wait to see it in action against Port Adelaide this week. Thank you so much for coming and having a chat, and love some of the behind the scenes and talking about some of the other stuff that goes on in preparation for a game of footy and for your career. Jez, good luck for this week, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Winning a three-peat isn't easy, but at GMHBA Health Insurance, that's exactly what we've done. By winning the 2024 CanStar Outstanding Value Hospital Cover in Victoria about 3 years running.
GMHBA have been caring for the Geelong community since 1934 and are proud supporters of the mighty Geelong Cats. Join at gmhba.com.au.
Welcome back to the Final Bell, officially brought to you by GMHBA. Big thanks to them for all of their support, and big thanks to Jeremy Cameron. Great to have a chat with him.
Cheers.
He's off to do probably a little bit more recovery today. We're recording this Tuesday morning, so a bit of recovery, but starting to roll again because of the shorter break.
6-day break with some travel.
Yeah. So let's get into a couple of questions. Then we want to talk about these wonderful jumpers that are in front of us ahead of Sir Doug Nicholls Round or rounds. And then we'll have a quick chat about the game on Saturday evening, 4:15 p.m. But let's get into some questions. This one's from Jeff. Why do GWS have such a good record in Geelong? Please answer that one, Meg, and put my mind at ease.
We're also slightly west of the town.
Good answer.
Just made
Good
that
answer.
Because that was on the spot.
It's funny. I was in the rooms afterwards, as I alluded to before, talking with Finn Callahan and a couple of the guys. He sort of said, he goes, I don't know, we just like coming. He kind of was saying we like Geelong as a town, and
you can feel that about certain away trips, and just really have an affinity for whatever reason. Maybe it's the hotel, maybe it's the town. Yeah,
they stay down the waterfront.
Oh, they do, down there,
and and now that they've won here, they feel
self-perpetuating.
They feel good, absolutely. They play the ground pretty well, I think it's fair to say.
Lucky we've got the same in Adelaide.
Yeah, actually that's a good one, isn't it? Yeah. Because Geelong, psychologically, as a team and players, would feel good and confident about going to the Adelaide Oval, which some teams wouldn't.
Absolutely.
They'd have this horror feeling of going there. I remember it took us a long time and had horror memories of the SCG in Sydney and most listeners would know, Nick Davis and things like that. And then it just slowly turned and...
Producer Jake just took the chest.
But it slowly turns, and then by the end it was like, we felt good about going to Sydney, and it was a good trip to go on as opposed to, oh God, here we go again.
Yeah. No, I love the Adelaide trip as well. It's something about the Botanic Gardens and where the cafes are and the hotel and I've played at the Oval twice, and it's something else. So,
well, Jeff,
good vibes, boys. Good vibes.
Hopefully, next time the Giants come down here, they don't feel quite as good, but that's not going to change until we do knock them off. Toby Green loves coming here because he loves coming to the area. He holidays down here in over summer down down the surf coast.
We're too accommodating. Too many mates down Geelong.
Toby does holiday near me, and I love him. He just loves being quiet down there. So we leave him alone. We leave him alone. Can you sign my surfboard,
Toby?
Stacey, 33. Does anything need to change in the forward line for more efficiency? Well, one of your questions to Jeremy at the end there was around Paddy and down there. I mean, to me, it seems to be working, and why I say that is 31 shots at goal. Unfortunately, yes, of course, when you kick 17 behinds, you think, but that doesn't strike me as, well, that's not the forward line not working.
Yes.
It's just finish our work.
Yeah, finish our work. And I think there have been some interruptions to the makeup of the team, and a few things have changed, forced changes, like, for example, Brian and players will be better the more that they play together, and I'm sure there are new things going on down there that we are and aren't understanding of. So, I mean, they're great players, and they'll just the efficiency I think will lift.
Brian coming back, we saw how important he was again. You know what, 23 odd touches, kicks a goal.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty sure, and set up goals, and his ball use. Yeah. I think we spoke about it at the Carlton game, that 50 to 80 metres out from our goal, that's
needed him.
Grimes' happy territory. Yeah. Stace, I think the forward line's actually working quite well. Yeah. We don't want 17 behinds. But it's so simplistic to just say kick straight. It's not as easy as that, and there's work that goes into that, and competitive, highly skillful players like Tice, like any of the guys, will just they'll nail. In their minds, they're like, I'll nail the next one I get. I get it. I missed it. I missed a couple. I'll get the next one.
Yeah.
And that's what we love about them.
Yeah.
Troy asked this question. It was nice seeing Jed back along with Duncan, as in Mitch Duncan. You alluded to Jed Buse, but seeing the two experienced guys back there.
Yeah, we love a statement, not a question.
Yes.
Troy, love that. Because I wholeheartedly agree. Mitch's snap goal had quite a bit of distance on it. I was like, Jeremy? No. Mitch, love that. Nothing much further to say on that front other than the maturity and level-headedness.
298, Mitch. So 2 to go.
2 to go.
To 300. To join the 300 club. Incredible at this club.
But we don't know, but it could well be Thursday week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's a perfect lead-in. I'm going to wait for Stephen's question. I'll ask it at the end. That's a perfect lead-in because that is the second round of Sir Doug Nicholls Round, or where we can wear our Indigenous Guernsey. We will wear the Clash Strip one this week against Port Adelaide on Saturday, and then we'll wear the home one, which we've got here in front of us. That's why I'm actually pointing at things, and I understand those listening on the podcast can't see what I'm pointing at, but our home strip we will wear against the Bulldogs on the Thursday night game here at GMHBA Stadium. Tell us a little bit about these, please, Meg.
Yes, with great pleasure. These jumpers are called Saltwater Stories, and they have been designed by Misa Humphreys Lawson, well, in consultation with her siblings, including Lawson. And what a beautiful design the family has come up with. I know Misa said that it had been her dream since being a kid to design a jumper for Sir Doug Nicholls Round, and we are the great beneficiaries of that dream coming true. So we'll wear this strip, as you say, against Yartapuulti on Saturday. And I believe the hoops, each one of the siblings, I believe there are 4 of them, have contributed to the design of each of the hoops. Lawson, we do have an explainer video where Lawson and his sister are interviewed. He speaks about the importance of the colours in the jumper, particularly that of the snake, but also the blue and how it represents the waters and that how connected they feel by the ocean, because I believe they live all over the country, and that's what connects them. So I'm sure I haven't done that nearly enough justice. Please do go onto the website and have a look at it.
Yeah, that video will be worth checking out for a great chat with Lawson and his sister, as you said. Cats fans will notice probably one thing will stand out immediately to their eye. It's not just blue and white, which is not often we see a different colour appear on a cat's Guernsey. There is the red serpent snake on the jumper as well. So a striking Guernsey. And
isn't it? Everyone that's walked past it when it's been in the corridors or seen it thus far online has remarked about how much they'll have to get their hands on one, which is true every year. I mean, I love the supporters who have a collection of them, and what's fantastic for me when we have these moments in usually this time of the year is to know that I'll hopefully get to wear them myself later in the year. So it's great to have a design that unifies our club in that way as well.
So you'll see the away one this Saturday. You'll see the home one on the Thursday night game against the Western Bulldogs here at GMHBA Stadium. Fantastic. That then leads me to, well, speaking of the away Guernsey, leads me to Stephen's question. How will the Cats go against Port next week? It'll be Yartapuulti, as you said, 4:15 p.m. at the Adelaide Oval. Did you tune into the showdown?
I've tuned into the last 15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how those teams are going. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world. It's always tight. Yeah. It's always got feeling. It's a legitimate rivalry. They do not like each other. The fans don't like each other. The players, there's a lot on the line there, and it was a brilliantly high intensity game of footy because it wasn't perfect skill-wise. It was messy at times. And Adelaide get the win, but you see what Port Adelaide can do as a team.
You do. Just to rub it into Port for a second, I tuned in and saw the mark.
Oh,
great mark.
Mark Keane mark.
Yeah. Loved it. So hopefully we don't need one of those, but respect. I feel like, people in the media and past players have tried to articulate the bravery that's required to do that kind of mark, and also the technique that was required, because he ultimately didn't take heaps of contact, but he had a little look, turned his body properly.
Yeah. I love that, because bravery, absolutely, but you must have technique and execution. You can't, you drop those or you leave yourself open, or there's sometimes there's dumb courage where you end up just hurting yourself or hurting others for your team. You have to have the work put in to be able to execute it, and he did it brilliantly. Connor Rozee wins the showdown medal.
Yes, he does. And I didn't watch enough of it to know this. Was he mid or half back last week?
He was definitely a half back.
Still more half back, yep.
Feels like he drifts between both a little bit, and probably is that good and has that license to sort of be where he wants to be, but it felt more half back. He in a losing team, I felt like he was still the best player on the ground. Riley Thilthorpe was pretty monstrous for the Crows, but we're not here to analyse the showdown.
We'll talk about the Crows. Sorry, everyone.
We are to talk about the fact that the Cats do take on Yartapuulti on Saturday. Rosie, Butters,
Horn Francis,
Wines. We so often say games are won and lost in the midfield, but Rosie might be half back, but it is going to be won and lost in that middle part of the ground. We have Bailey Smith in terrific form, Max Holmes in really good form as well, Tom Atkins in superb form as well. So great challenge for us to take on a really high-end midfield.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. As you were listing their players and how intimidating that might be, I equally, as you say, you could list ours and say it's just going to be a great game. And seeing some similarities between, again, that speed and power and that Jason Horne-Francis has, that Bailey and Max have. Surely, once again, it's going to be a territory battle out of the midfield. But I think our forward line will be excited by the challenge. I hope he won't mind me saying, I was speaking to Shannon Neal the other day and I asked him how Sav was going. They used to live together and he's like, they'll probably play on me. We'll see how that goes. So, I'm sure they're ready to embrace the challenge. Yeah, there's probably a bit. Is there Ken Hinkley vibes as well?
I think Ken always, it's funny. So you'd be the same, like your best mates or your brother or your sister. In a sporting, you love them and cherish them and you want to spend time with them. But
there are pictures of you on the wall. But
yes, as soon as the ball drops, it's like, I want to beat my brother badly. I want to beat my best mate. Backyard cricket, the guy I lived with for years. I wanted to destroy him at backyard cricket every time I played him. It wasn't there for fun. And I think that's what happens. And Kenny has nothing but wonderful, brilliant, fond memories of the Cats as both a player and an assistant coach and a terrific assistant coach. But he would love knocking off the Cats at the same time. And what is now, as we officially know, his last year at Port Adelaide as coach, and no doubt he will coach somewhere else again because he's such an incredible coach. Miles Bergman will be the funny one. He'll be the one to watch. He played a role on Jordan Dawson on the showdown. See if he drifts up rather than playing defence. Does he go to Bailey? Does he go to Max? And will Bailey have to deal with a tag and maybe Max gets off the chain? Max got tagged earlier on in the year and Bailey's been able to get off the chain a little bit. So it'll be intriguing. As I said, check out the health update as well for hopefully some good news on some of our defenders. We didn't lose anyone from the game. There were no injuries. No. Jake Stringer, of course, was the only one for the Giants, none for us. So that's a good, clean bill of health, hopefully, from the game. And, of course, Lawson Humphries as well is the one to watch with more information around his concussion. That's us done, Meg.
Boom.
That is us done for another week. We will be back next week. Obviously, a shorter week next week. Yeah. Ahead of a Thursday night clash against the Doggies.
We'll be in full preview mode by the time we see each other on Tuesday.
Yeah, hopefully we're talking about a big win by the Cats against Port. It's every game's crucial, but as soon as you have that close win against the Pies, you're like, can we breathe for a second? Oh no, then we just drop one and it's, we need another win and it doesn't, it gets tough. Tough every single week.
I love it.
Yes, they do.
Can't wait.
It's it's the closest cumulative.
It's 1970.
Yeah.
Is that right? 70?
Sounds right. I think it's like that.
I think the average was like 10 points.
Yeah, on the Sunday in particular, every game was 10 points or under, including a draw. The only blowout of the whole round was 35 points, Hawthorn knocking off Melbourne. Wow. The rest were 15 points or under.
And that was close.
Yeah.
Up until
Melbourne were ahead at three-quarter time, I think. So the AFL have got it exactly like they want it. us as fans just get to sit through stress the whole time. Which I'm sure we'll be doing again.
But as Scotty said, it means if you lose, it means everyone's in every game. So you're almost guaranteed that the teams around you and ahead of you will falter at some point as well.
That's exactly right.
Is that a negative take? Anyway.
No, I think it's true.
It's true.
It's reality. Speaking of reality, we'll be back next week.
Yes,
Great to see you again, Meg.
See you, mate.